In this video, we're going to be talking about one of the main topics in section 7.2, and that topic is measures of central tendency. Central tendency, as hopefully you've already read in the textbook, are measures that try to describe the center of a set of data. When we talk about measures of central tendency, the three that we focus on the most are the mean, median, and mode. My guess is that 100% of the people in the class have heard those terms before, whether it's been a while since you've worked with them or not, I don't know. But you probably have at least some idea of what those three terms mean. So let's talk through briefly each of them and then walk through a problem involving them. The mean of a set of data is the mathematical average. There's a formula in the book for how to calculate the mean. But let's just do a quick example of the mean. Let's say in a data set you have the numbers 2 and 6 and let's say 10. Now let's say 5. I'm trying to make the numbers work out to a non-fractional number here. Let's say 7. Okay? The mean of those three, of that data set, 2, 6, and 7, would be 2 plus 6 plus 7, all the data points added together, divided by the number of data points in the set, which in this case is 1, 2, 3, divided by 3. So we have 13 plus 2 more is 15, divided by 3. The mean, or the mathematical average of those three numbers is 5. And you can continue that process with a much larger data set. The median of a data set is the middle number in a data set going from smallest to largest. So if you took this small data set, 2, 6, and 7, the median of that data set would be 6. It's the middle number. An obvious question to ask when talking about the median is, what if there's an even number of data points? Okay, so what if you have this? What if you have 4? When you try to go to the middle, there isn't a number at the middle because you have an even number of numbers here. So in the case where you have an even number of data sets, what you actually do is you average, or to use a term we just talked about, you take the mean of the two numbers that are most in the middle. So the median of this data set is actually 7, 6 plus 8 divided by 2, which is 14 divided by 2, or 7, which is the average of these 2 points. So it's worth noting in this case that the median, 7, is actually a number that doesn't show up in the data set. So again, to recap, the median is the middle number in a data set when you're organized from smallest to largest. The third and easiest to understand the mode is just the data point in a set that occurs the most frequently. So, quick example of that. Let's make a little larger set here. Let's say this is our data set. You'll notice that the points 2 and 3 occur multiple times. Because 3 occurs 3 times, we have 3 instances of 3. 3, the number 3 in this case, is the mode. So pretty simple concept. Most of you would probably already know that. What I really want to spend the bulk of this video on is talking about how do we use these 3 measures to determine what is the best measure of central tendency, what is the best measure of a middle number. To do that, we're going to use an example out of the book that hopefully you've already had a chance to read. And as I'm doing this video, if you want to pause and pull that up and kind of follow along, this example is found on page 441 of your book. So here's the example. The example is of salaries at a company, and you'll notice for this particular company we have one president making $210,000, one vice president making $120,000, so on and so forth, listing all of the employees of the company. We actually have here, let's see, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 employees. So we want to know, out of the mean, the median, and the mode, which of those 3 measures best describes the center number of how much an employee works. I have to be careful and not say what the average employee works, because then I would just be talking about the mean. You'll see what I mean here in just a second. So if I were to calculate the mean of all of these, they do that calculation in the book. I won't take the time to do that. But you will notice that the mean comes out to be 42,937.50 cents. Similarly, if I were to calculate the median and the mode is the easiest one to calculate, because you'll notice there's 6 people that each make 22,000. So 22,000 occurs 6 times. So that would be the mode. In order to find the median, I would have to line all of these up from smallest to largest, and it's important to note that when I'm doing that, you need to list 22,000 6 times. You can't just list this once, because there's 6 of these, and there's 5 of these, and then there is just 1 of each of those. But if you went through that process, identified the middle number, you would find that the median is actually 25,000. So the question is, which of the 3 of these, mean, median, or mode, best describes the center of that data set? It's a complicated question, and there may not just be one answer to it, but the point that they make in the book, which I think is a good one, is that it's pretty clear that the mean does not very well describe the center of this data. If you think about putting all of these points on a number line, so if you think about if you had a number line and here's your 22,000, and you have 6 people there that are making that, and then so on and so forth, all the way up to your 210,000 here, and you have 1 person making that, you would notice that the mean of almost 43,000, that lives, somewhere in here, where the mean is actually bigger than 11, 12, 13, 14 of the 16 employees. So 14 of the 16 employees are actually making less than what the mean is. So the mean in this case really isn't a very good measure of the center of the data, because it's not really in the center, it's really above the majority of the employees. Whereas the median and the mode of 25,000 and 22,000 are a much better representation of the center, because 25,000 and 22,000 is where the majority of the employees, is what the majority of the employees are making. Okay? So mean, even though it is the mathematical average, is not always the best measure of central tendency, and hopefully from this example you can see why. And to connect this to another topic that's later in 7.2, 120,000 and 210,000 in statistical terms are probably what we would call outliers, which means they're data points that are way far away from everything else. Anytime you have an outlier or more than one outlier in a set of data, those are really going to heavily influence the mean, and a lot of times having outliers means that the mean will not be the best measure of central tendency. So for the homework and for the test, I would definitely expect you to be able to calculate the mean, median, and mode of any given set of data. I would also expect you, based on this type of reasoning and this type of example, to be able to make a case for why the mean, the median, or the mode is a good or bad measure of central tendency.